Did you know in a 2025 article by Durian Sylvia that 92% of 14 to 15-year-olds, along with 97% of 15 to 17-year-olds, have access to smartphones? That is a crazy number. Nearly that basically means majority of our kids, teens, have access to smartphones. You might think of this as a normal thing as we look back and in high school we all had phones, but looking in countries like Spain, we see 10 to 12-year-olds have a that 65% of 10 to 12-year-olds have access to smartphones, along with 13 to 14-year-olds, nearly 75% of them have smartphones. That is an unprecedented number when you kind of keep into mind that teens and children are not only their brains are still developing, but they're very easily influenced. And these companies and their data is being sold to companies who will take advantage of the fact that they're easily influenced and they have developing brains and try to make as much money and exploit them for as much as they can. And this is exactly why we are in desperate need of regulation. And that's why I'm trying to argue for the fact that the federal government needs to put regulation and limit data collection for minors. And I'll be addressing the problems specifically with data collection and why it's harmful, along with what has caused it to get to the certain point, along with solutions that we can do to prevent this. If not the government, we have to take action. We must take action. So addressing the problem, the data collection as a whole leaks data. The whole data collection as a whole and data leaks are rampant, along with total surveillance. This kind of means we as a people, everything we do online is being monitored and being sold. Not only are we being monitored by the government, we are also being monitored by companies to get targeted ads. We as in a 2026 Northwestern Law, in a 2026 article by Northwestern University Law, we see how teens share that it's been statistically proven teens share sensitive info on these platforms without fully understanding the risk involved. This is to say, we as teens sometimes we don't often think of the consequences of the real world, and we put our information data online. We sign up for things, we put our information in. We don't think about the consequences of those actions. And basically, there's a lot of companies and websites online who are there to take advantage of that. The government, and along with the fact that the government is actually building digital profiles based on teens. This is to say that the government is putting categories of who are the bad teens who are most likely to commit crime and become criminals based off of internet and total digital surveillance. This is an unprecedented thing, and it's nearly equivalent to the U.S. government taking account how many students regulating elementary school scores and elementary school numbers to open up spaces in prisons, just predictions of prison inmate numbers. In a 2025 article by the BYU Law School, we see a study where we find out that there's actually been 1,250 child immigrants who have gone into a virtual program placement, which is to say they have been monitored online to see their status, and they have been immigrated and separated from their families based off of internet surveillance that they are in fact immigrants, illegal immigrants, and this is most likely they're easily susceptible, being that these are children. It is extremely sad to see that there is zero consideration on how these children are being unaccompanied and their parents are not with them in this difficult time. And so we go into the causes of this issue, the issue, which is that the U.S. what caused this issue as a whole, and is that the U.S. is cracking down on data collection. In a 2026 article by Boston College, we see that we are now in an age of surveillance capitalism. That is to say, the government is using data collection for all of its controversial activity, and that is, like we mentioned earlier, immigration surveillance, along with gender affirming healthcare, which is to say that they're tracking who is looking into this, and they're cracking down on who is assigning this, who is like, they're basically tracking data on what children are wanting, what children are looking for from the government, along with cracking down on critics and those who resist. We see this a lot with our current administration, where whistleblowers and naysayers are often targeted by not only the public but by law. We've seen things where we see claims of people who speak out on the internet will be tracked, and they will be there have been cases where certain politicians have even like said they would deport people who speak out online on certain issues. And I think total digital surveillance capitalism seems we're leaning it's leaning to a very dark area where we don't want American history to go down into. And in another 2025 article by Boston College, we see how teen data is being used to get addicted, that teens are getting addicted or engaged to content through third party ads and recommendations. This basically means that social media views what we are interested in and gives us very targeted content based off of what teens are interested in it and are engaged in. And sometimes this can also be explicit content or just things that the government knows teens will be addicted to. And then not government, but these third-party websites. This kind of goes back to what we said earlier. Teens are easily influenced and they're still developing brains. So it really seems like the capitalism is taking full advantage of the market of teens being easily manipulated. And now we kind of go into what solutions there are to this issue. So because the US is cracking down on data collection, I think one of our solutions, we have to look away from the government and see how social media needs clear privacy policies. Well, what government can do is we need clear privacy policies that allow users to choose where the data goes and where exactly who it goes to. I think there should be fully. We just need to implement, or in a 2025 article by the European Journal, that the EU is actually working on the Digital Service Act to ban and target teen data collection and targeted ads. So there are already clear solutions in way, but there are things we can do. We can limit how much access we give to teens, just because we do understand that there are a lot of risks, not only for our teen safety, but for their livelihood and their place in this country. So before you think about buying your kids that phone, even though they're completely way too young, think about that.